Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, September 26th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. In the previous session, we had an early reversal off the highs down to the lows. Price pushed below the previous session's low and then rejected. It was a fairly strong rejection at the time, but didn't look strong enough to really trigger a lasting move. But the markets really did keep going higher, continued higher the rest of the day into the close, and closed right at the previous session's mid or just beyond it. That's a pretty strong pullback. This is what we discussed before as one of the possibilities here. After breaking through the top of this range, we could get a false breakdown and a low and then start to move higher off that low. Now, it doesn't mean that the downside is still out of it. This pivot low is the key level now. A push through that zone would easily open up the downside. We now have a strong low there to watch. But right now, obviously, market has been seeing lower highs time and time again, lower lows, a little bit of a rounded top here, and price is still not really able to find much acceptance above 3K right now. 3,000 right here. FOMC key level is 3,000.5. So again, that's going to be a level that market really needs to push through and find acceptance through in order to see more upside. If we do drive higher off this pivot low and push through 3K, we do have an upside target zone that could be reached here over the next month. You have this pivot low, and then this is your average monthly range right here. That would take you basically to 3,100 to 3,140. That zone right there could be reached again over 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even a month out. If this low remains intact, that's a zone right there, 3,100, that could be very easy to achieve down the way. Again, a failure to hold this pivot low here at 29.50 opens up a return back toward 2,800 to 2,820. All right, let's take a look now at the NQ. You'll notice here with the NQ, very similar price action. We had a very strong day in the previous session here where we drove higher off the pivot low. That was a really strong move, and at the moment the NQ tech in general is leading and is moving at a stronger pace than the ES. We saw a more emphatic rejection and continuation downward in the previous session. This low was a more strong pivot low, and the reversal even stronger than the NQ. So tech right now has a bit more volatility to it. You see this pullback here. That pullback has been defended already. 77.8375 is the low. A retest or rejection of that low could still be defended. 2-day highs all at the same level here. We could be looking at an upside breakout and continuation here ahead if price can get above 2-day highs. That's going to be about the 78.45, 78.50 level. That could open it up to the upside. Now, if we do fail to hold 7,700 or push through this pivot low, 7,400 becomes the target. That's your target zone right there and could be hit. Remember, we talked about potentially seeing a 400-point range move from the pivot low over the next X amount of days. This market here has shown that it is certainly capable of seeing that type of move here from this pivot low. So from the 76.63 low, if you forecast higher 400 points, you're going to get 80.63. That basically takes you right back to the pivot range high, sorry, the key range high. And so this bounce, that strong low, could lead us right into about 80.50 over the next several days, especially if 2-day highs are broken. So something to watch out for here in the NQ. Let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil over here has been working toward filling the gap at around 55, just below 55. This gap up occurred on the attack on the Saudi oil tanks there, and that led to a fill here almost of this gap and a continuation downward once price was unable to hold 58.50, which is something we talked about early on. And overall, once we do fill the gap, we start to enter into the portion of the seasonality here where we start to see weakness in Q4 for this commodity. So there could be more additional weakness ahead for crude oil. This looks to be a very strong pivot top here at 63.38, which is also the FOMC key level from May. So that's a really strong top. Any pullback could be seen as a selling opportunity as we likely even approach the 50-50 support level. in the next weeks ahead. Lastly, taking a look at gold futures. Gold has been bullish overall. In the previous session, it had everything it needed to really continue higher, but failed, breaking a pinching phase to the downside in the 512 tick chart. That led to a stop run day down through 1525. We've gotten a pullback here now. Again, 1490 is the big level to watch. That is major support here. It's been the LVN here that's continued to develop. If price were to push through that level and flush that zone, that may open up the next phase higher. As of right now, we've been in a range bound phase for a while, which makes sense after all of this trending behavior, but we've been range bound now for 2 months. We even have a little bit of rounded top behavior. 1490 is going to be very, very important. Whether it breaks and drops or whether it breaks and rejects, either way, a nice move could come as a result of testing that 1490. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.